Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man tabi'ahu bi ihsan ila yawm al-qiyamah. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. On today's episode of Riyad al-Muttaqeen, Garden of the Pious, we shall be looking at a very important topic, Ghadd al-Basar, lowering the gaze. What does it mean when we say one lowers his gaze? What does it mean to lower the gaze? It's defined as an yughmid al-Muslim basarahu amma hurima alayh. It's for a Muslim to shut his eyes to those things that have been prohibited. In the Quran, in Surah An-Nur, Allah tells the believing men and women to lower their gaze and to also what? And to protect their chastity, to protect their private part from committing haram. And Allah says in this verses that this is the purest for them. This is purer for them. And Allah is aware of how they do. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in an hadith reported by Ubadah bin Samit, the Prophet says, "Udmani li sittan min anfusikum, admanu lakum al-jannah." That guarantee me 6 things, and I guarantee you Jannah. The Prophet says, "Usduku iza haddastum." Say the truth when you speak. Wa'awfu iza wa'adtum. And fulfill your promises. Wa'addu iza tumintum. And you do not betray trust. Wahfazu furujakum. Protect furujakum. Protect your private part. Waguddu abusarakum. Lower your gaze. Wakufu aydiyakum. And restrain your hand from harming others. So you see that in the 6 things that were mentioned, 2 things linked to each other were mentioned. Protecting the gaze and also the private part, because it's linked. If you do not protect your gaze, you are very likely to commit illegal acts of zina. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, and in this particular hadith, it tells us that we are not just to lower our gaze for the opposite sex, even people of the same sex. The Prophet says, "La yanzuru rajulu ila awrati rajuli, wala tanzuru al-mar'atu ila awrati al-mar'ah, wala yufdi rajula ila rajuli fi thawb al-wahid." The Prophet says, a man should not look at the nudity, the nakedness of another man. Likewise, the woman should equally not look at the nakedness of another woman. And when we talk about nudity, what does it mean? For the man, it is from the navel to the knees. And for the woman, it is all part of the body, save the face and the hand. But many scholars agree that other women can actually see the hair of other women. But there's a very, very limited scope in the whole of this. And as this continues, he says, and a man should not be under the same covering with another man. That is, you sleep on the same bed, you use the same blanket. This is something that is also prohibited by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it's because of the indecencies that may happen when we engage in this act, like homosexuality, lesbianism, and other things the world has been plagued with at this point. In an hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet Muhammad told Ali ibn Abi Talib, he says, "Ya Ali, la tutbi'u nadrata nadra." Do not follow a gaze with another gaze. What does this mean? It means that when you mistakenly see the opposite sex or you see something that is haram, you do not follow it with another gaze. And it says, فَإِنَّ لَكَ الْأُولَى. You are given the first gaze. وَلَيْسَتْ لَكَ الْآخِرَةِ. You are not given the second or subsequent gaze. That means you account for that second gaze and you'll be punished for it. So it's what this portends is that when you see something haram mistakenly, ensure that you remove your face from it. To round up, we'll look at some gems, the benefits of lowering the gaze as prescribed by Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah. He says, 1, it generates true insight, al-basira, wal-firasa, which can distinguish between truth and falsehood, sincerity and lies. Allah rewards his slaves for his good deeds with something similar, And if he gives us something for the sake of Allah, he will compensate him with something better than it. So if he lowers his gaze and refrains from looking at things that Allah has forbidden, Allah will compensate him with enlightenment. He will compensate him for restraining his gaze for the sake of Allah, and will open to him the doors of knowledge, faith, true insight, which he only attained by means of the light in his heart. Between the eyes and the heart is a connection, which means that the one is affected by the other. And if one of them becomes good, the other will become good. And if one becomes corrupt, the other becomes corrupt. We ask Allah for steadfastness. The eyes is the gate of the heart. If you preserve it, your heart is purified. May Allah grant us the best in this world and in the hereafter. May He make us one of the inhabitants of the garden of the pious. And may He grant us al-Jannat Firdaus. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.